Thomas Massie's primary victory explained. It's only been a few days since Thomas Massie's primary victory in Kentucky's 4th Congressional District. In November, he'll be going up against the Democratic nominee, and the conventional wisdom asserts that Massie will probably win the historically Republican congressional seat in northern Kentucky. Massie won his party's nomination, though, by a surprisingly impressive margin, 16 points. When Rand Paul won by double digits, it was a landslide. Now, supporters are calling Massie's spectacular win a Massiecre. Nevertheless, many political observers had expected a close contest. The news media have offered several explanations for why Massie won, and won big. Super PACs, the Tea Party, the involvement of Rand Paul, the establishment candidates splitting the vote, and so on. These are all plausible explanations, and I don't deny the role they played in Massie's victory. However, these factors, as important as they are, don't tell the whole story. Thomas Massie is a relative newcomer to politics. He's been a judge executive for about 2 years. He was also involved in Rand Paul's 2010 U.S. Senate race as a supporter on the grassroots level. Some are calling Judge Massie the protege of Senator Paul. At the very least, Paul had an impact on Massie. He inspired the Lewis County native to run for office and, perhaps, served as a model for how a pro-liberty candidate can get elected in Kentucky. Massie has spoken to and been endorsed by Tea Party groups in Kentucky. He's been called a darling of the Tea Party by the news media. This is true. His message and record of fiscal responsibility certainly resonates with supporters of the conservative grassroots movement. Super PACs have gotten credit as well for helping Massie win. A Texas-based group spent over $500,000 on the candidate. The ads that were run by this liberty-minded Super PAC were seen by thousands of northern Kentuckians. Surely these ads had an effect, mostly in Massie's favor, although some people complained about this quote-unquote outside money. When U.S. Representative Jeff Davis decided not to run for another term, the open congressional seat led to something of a feeding frenzy, on the Republican side anyway. Only 2 Democrats competed in the primary race, but 7 Republican nominees jumped into the contest. Indeed, this may have benefited Massie by fragmenting the field. His dedicated supporters weren't going anywhere. The other 2 frontrunners split the so-called establishment vote. Massie, on the other hand, had much of the Tea Party vote all to himself. Once again, these are all credible theories for why Massie won the Republican nomination by a large margin, but other factors played a role as well. What's missing from these analyses is this: the liberty movement. It's this movement that provided early support for Rand Paul in his Senate race and Thomas Massie in the current congressional race. We were there from the beginning, and we rarely get the credit we deserve. While it's true, we did not and could not get these men elected on our own, we were crucial to the nascent campaigns of these men. We were and are the most dedicated supporters, volunteers, and fundraisers. We encourage these men to run. We join their campaigns in large numbers. And we defend these freedom-loving individuals against the big government goons who attack them. Both men have credited the liberty movement to some degree, however, with Massie having done so during a key moment, his victory speech on primary day. And yet, the news media are confused by the movement. They really don't understand it. That's understandable. Occupy Wall Street, they understand. They can relate to left-wing hoodlums. The liberty movement, not so much. By the way, Ron Paul is the father of the modern liberty movement. So, why did Thomas Massie win the Republican primary? Short answer, because the voters elected him. But why did they elect him? Despite all the talk about super PACs, the Tea Party, endorsements, and a split vote, the main reason Thomas Massie won is Thomas Massie. The news media are fixated on what they think are negatives: money in politics, a conservative political movement, a controversial Republican senator, and the like. But it's Massie's positives that were crucial to his victory. Why did the Liberty Movement push him to run for Lewis County Judge Executive and later on the U.S. House of Representatives? Because of super PACs? Of course not. It's Massie's personal qualities that got him started on the path to victory. He's intelligent. He's principled. He's authentic. His message resonates. His record is a good one. Even his backstory is appealing, from inventor and entrepreneur to cattle farmer and congressional candidate. This is a background like no other. And it's not just the narrative of the anti-establishment candidate who wants to shake things up in Washington, as important as that may be. This guy is truly committed to the cause of liberty. I'd like to say that most politicians feel the same way, but they don't. Massie is a rarity. We need more like him. No wonder the news media get it so wrong. Ideological blinders can obscure the truth, of course, but so does inside-the-box thinking. Don't expect any help from these folks in the general election. Massie will likely be scrutinized and criticized to an unfair degree, just as Rand Paul was in 2010, and his opponent, a Democrat, will likely get his unfair share of free passes. Sound familiar? But we've got something they don't have. Thomas Massie. That's our biggest advantage. And that, my friends, is why we will win.